my stepdad was a big gardener, and so as a young age he'd point out a lot of things, and then you know, I seem to remember them quite well.
Yeah.
And we watched a TV series called River Cottage, but the English one, and I can't watch that anymore because it makes me like, I need to get a farm and animals and everything. So I'm Angus, and I am 16, turning 17.
Yep.
And this is my allotment.
You live here in Richmond?
Yep, I'm just a minute, not even 30 seconds up the road, so
Yeah.
it's really easy to come at night if you're worried or want to check on anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you lived in the Hawkesbury your whole life?
Yep, born and raised.
Yep.
But through here I had heaps of radishes, which there's still a couple baby ones that have, so I've pretty much finished radishes now. And so there's still a couple in there which are just not really good ones.
Do you grow to eat, or a bit of, you know, do you grow to share? Why do you grow?
Majority of my fruit I've actually shared more than eaten. There's a few things, like I had a good couple basil plants about a month ago, and I just made heaps of pesto, which is still going at the moment.
Yeah.
And I've got a whole heap of pickled radishes from this crop that I had, which are sitting at home currently. The good thing about the Hawkesbury is it's country but not city, so it's kind of on the border of being real out west country, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not quite yet.
Yeah.
So you have that, you know, your hour to the city, and you're an hour back from there, so you can go to concerts a lot and stuff like that really easily and not have to worry. As I've learnt, so in the last year or so since doing this, you just meet a lot of different people, and you just don't realise how much of a community. I've grown up not realising how much of a community there is until now.
Yeah.
So you meet different people, and from that person you meet another person, or if you meet someone, they'll say, oh yeah, I know Joe Blogs or whatever.
Yeah.
So right, and here's beetroots, which they're pretty small at the moment. But you can essentially use the whole plant. So the leaf you can have in salads, but the actual root you can have in it, pretty much pickle it or anything.
Yeah.
I have done really good pickling.
Yum.
I love pickling, it's one of my weaknesses. Gardening's an all ages thing, so you know, I've met one of my neighbours who lives up on the corner in Richmond. He's 80 or something, and so I used to go garden for him Saturday mornings, and he's Italian, so you know, he does all the lemon on the legs to keep the mosquitoes away and stuff like that, all the nifty little tricks, and you pick up a lot of interesting things from him, and conversations, and multicultural aspects to it, I suppose. But yeah, it varies from a lot of ages, and as I said, it opens up many doors to new people and stuff. So
Yeah. You're kind of exploring organic gardening and sort of permaculture too, aren't you? Like, are you doing companion planting and stuff too?
Well, I try to do companion planting as much, or at least permaculture. So this is probably the best bet I've done it with. I have cabbages up the middle, and then lettuces, which is probably not the best spacing, but you just work around it.
Yeah.
So I have rocket growing up the side, which I cut back nearly every day because it grows like crazy.
Yeah.
I have the cabbages up the middle, and then lettuces down the side.
But tell me the story. How is it that you're here, and like, whose land is it?
Well, it's owned by the vet up there.
Yeah.
And they were kind enough just to let me. So essentially what happened is I kind of had a peek over the fence as you're walking by, and also Google Earth was a good one as well. So I had a bit of a look, and I just went to them and said, hey, do you mind if I use your land?
So what did you think when a 15-year-old boy wandered in and said to you, can I use your patch of land?
He was very persistent. He came to us. Oh, he rang up about 3 times, and then he brought his mother in.
You know, can I just maintain weeds for you, essentially, and just I don't have any income at the moment. Can I just take care of the weeds for you?
Yeah.
And put a veggie garden in and some chickens. And they're like, yeah, that's fine.
And we just decided, you know, he was so keen,
Yeah.
and as I said, he was persistent, so gave it a go.
Yeah.
And he's done wonders.
Yeah. Have you enjoyed any of the vegetables from your block of land?
We have a bit of a competition because I've got a big veggie garden of my own, but the nurses at work tend to benefit from his bounty.
What are your thoughts on young people being more kind of community conscious?
I think it's great, and as I said before, his persistence and his enthusiasm for what he's doing is just fantastic. Yeah. He's a really amazing young man. Great hair too.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I had my little veggie patch, which was literally about this big at home, and when you have a veggie patch this big, it's what else can you do? It's not what can you do in that square, it's what else can you do.
Yeah.
And so, so I essentially just wanted bigger and bigger and bigger, wanted to expand, and then I got this place, and yeah, so now it's maintaining, and now you've got something that's big, you have to actually learn to maintain and take care of it.
Yeah.
And treat it with love, really. So
it's
like any other family member, really. It was about a year, about 2 months ago, was my full year here, and now I know that I have problems with white caterpillars, and I know that using some organic chili, so olive oil and chili and stuff like that, doesn't really work to my favour, so I have to look around that and see what else I can spread on then. So maybe next year I'll be like, well, maybe that didn't work, so then what do I do next, and try that. And so slowly it builds up over time. You just got to write it down or remember it. Yeah. And so purely my Instagram, which is the best way for it. So I'll just crazily post on that, and then I'll look back and go, oh, when did I do this? And then say
almost
the
like
date.
A gardener's journal.
It essentially is, and other people can view it, which is quite nice. So I've met heaps of growers from all over Australia who like, and I like theirs, and you kind of have this virtual connection that you never knew them, but you just meet with them, and it's quite interesting. So, yeah. Pretty much, he's kind of similar, is in Jamie Oliver kind of thing, where he wants education, plants and food to be taught at a younger age, which should happen, really. Yeah. And and so I suppose documentaries and lifestyle shows like that really do help. The thing that's really good about it is you can easily contact people like that. Yeah. So Paul West, you just message on Instagram and he'll get back to you within a couple of days, really. Yeah. And so social media is actually quite good at the moment with that. There's a lot of books that I have as well, like Grown and Gathered, which is a couple, I think it's Lentil and Max down in Melbourne, and they have a market garden and they all live for themselves, and it's all well kitted out. That's definitely a book I recommend. Yeah. Because it doesn't tell you what to plant and how to plant it and grow it and stuff. It shows you how to live on a property like self-sufficiently for a whole year round, and if you want to eat every week, you got to put in every week. Yeah. So it plans that out, and then it shows you some recipes at the end, like pickling, and that's really what everyone should be doing. But
maybe the village garden is the way, though.
Well, I mean, if you had like this allotment is a good example of something. If you had a couple families together and they all worked in, and River Cottage did this as well. You got a vacant land and a whole neighbourhood had pigs and sheep and goats, and one family would do the milking and one would do the growing, and one would do weeding, or they'd rotate it, and it works quite well, and you get food and you can equally share it, and you get to know your neighbours and you work well with them. It grows everywhere in Richmond, but you can eat all the fresh little leaves. Yeah. And the weird part is that apparently the recipe is if you put wee and the big leaves together, you can make shampoo. So
I think I've seen that somewhere.
I'm not personally going to try it, but it's quite an interesting fact to know. Purslane, you'll find it on any street you pass on Richmond. Grows like a weed everywhere. It's a natural superfood. It has.
Have a look at the foliage so people can see.
Yeah, it has crazy omega-3, iron. It goes feral, but the thing is, you want to watch out from people spraying it on the side of the road, or dogs weeing on them, or stuff like that. So, you got to make sure it's from a contained environment.
Who inspired you to get started?
I'm not sure. It's clicked. I've had people over time. So there was Paul West from River Cottage Australia. Costa was from Gardening Australia's. Yeah. Who inspired me, and now I suppose is a friend of mine now. So he came and he actually has come and had a look at this place. Yeah. And he'll pop up every now and then. So I had a school excursion at the Botanic Gardens up at Mount Tomar the other week, and he was filming there. I just happened to run into him. It's quite funny. Also, one of my mates, Jordan, who has a nursery up at Kennerhurst called Worm Tickler's Nursery. Right. Okay. He's quite a close friend of mine, and he if he has stock that he's gonna chuck out. So this parsley crop was just an old thing that he had, which there's heaps of plants in it, but this was all yellow and was fraying and dying in his nursery pots, and so he just pretty much gave them all to me because he had nothing. He was just going to compost it, and then now it's turned into this massive crop of parsley.
Absolutely beautiful. Look how lush it is.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It tastes good as well.
And this is your routine. You come here just straight off the bus, and
Yes, it depends on assignments and school stuff as well. But
yeah,
like last week, I had to do a couple assignments, and by the end of the week, you're a bit stressed and all worked up and not in the happiest of places. You come here for an afternoon, you're just happy as Larry.
Yeah.
It's the happiest.
yeah.
So yeah, it does keep you going. Yeah. So you have to weed the place, but I think really you need to weed to an extent, because I think that with weeds, this actually does bring in beneficial bugs as well, as because it's natural to the area.
Yep.
And also a lot of plants, like clover, it's a very good plant. It puts nitrogen back in the soil from these little pods in the roots, if I can get in there. Nope. Yeah, so it puts nitrogen back in the soil, so you want to have a good amount of that.
Yeah.
No, I can't get it out at the moment.
Okay. Is there anyone at school that's anything like as passionate as you are about this, or are you kind of like standalone kind of guy?
As students, probably not. One of the teachers who I get on with, Miss Moss, she's actually she's a cool person.
Yeah.
She's just starting a veggie patch at her place, and we'll always talk about it. So I'll walk past her on the walkway or run into one of her class to have a quick chat, and she's quite energetic about the whole experience.
Yeah.
And stuff as well.
Yeah.
Mr. Mercedes is always a winner.
Yeah.
I quite like him, and he's passionate. He's really passionate.
He really is.
Yeah.
Do you think young people are kind of more conscious of environmental concerns?
I think it's the way you angle it. So if you're going to teach someone about it, you've got to angle it at a certain perspective that people will click to. So I'm not sure what it is. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you myself what it is, because I'm a bit different to the normal person. Not person, but I mean a bit different in my group of friends, really. And I suppose everyone has their own interest. I personally think that everyone should know gardening, or at least have a garden, whether it be like that big, or this big.
Yeah.
Everyone should have one and learn, composting and putting all the love back into the soil, as well as taking out.
Yeah.
And environmental, reduce, reuse, recycle should be. I've kind of kicked myself in the bum a bit more lately now, and so I have a reusable lunchbox that I have now, and it has all beeswax wraps that I wrap sandwiches in, or I'll use Ziploc bags for lunch. I'll reuse those.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it down as much as I can. But I think, learning it to a school perspective, I think you'd have to start younger than high school.
What do you think young people can teach the older generations? What are they bringing to our community that maybe is unique to people your age?
Well, after looking in, I'm a big fan of all the 70s and 60s and all that. So if you look at that, you'll see that, earlier than that, possibly 50s is probably the best example, that the uproar of teenagers happened. So it's all the Beatles and all the Rolling Stones and their whole kit and caboodle that they brought along with Manias and all that. And I'm sure the parents of the generation from there were shunning the kids as much as they probably were today.
Yeah.
So everyone's different, every generation's different, and everyone has something to teach. So for an example, my mum, she might know something that she'd learnt from her time when she was a kid and stuff, which would apply to mine, but it would still be different.
Yeah.
And so it's working on differences, similarities as well. Well, we grew up with cell phones now, and we have download anything, which is great in many ways, but also negative in a lot of ways. It's easy to stalk people and access things, but you have easy access to learning about gardening and music and stuff like that. And so it does help a lot. There's a lot more positives probably than there is negatives to it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you like school?
Well, at the moment I do.
Yeah.
It varies. I've found that going from that jump from 10 to 11 is a lot more fun. It's a bit trickier, I found at the moment, this is only at the moment though, I don't know what it's going to be like in a couple months.
Yeah.
But at the moment I'm finding a lot of fun. There's photography I'm really enjoying at the moment, so I've got a lot of film. Earth and environmental science is fun. You just learn heaps of interesting stuff. But as a whole, I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than I have previously at the moment. So,
Yeah. What do you think we could do as a society to make school better for everybody?
Personally for me, it'd be definitely excursions or outside classroom learning. I can't sit in the classroom very much. I normally walk around classrooms sometimes or stretch or something because I just can't. I'm a person who needs to be doing something. I learn a lot from class discussions, so
Yeah.
certain teachers, you might go off topic, but you drag yourself back in. You just discussions are the way.
Yeah.
Discussions and hands-on. Yeah.
It feels more like an exchange.
It's
than,
more
than just like you will listen to this.
Yeah, it's not dictatoring.
Yeah.
Dictatory. It's
I
more.
think the word is authoritarian.
That's probably it. Yeah. And so it's not you have to do this. It's more of a let's do this. But if we get sidetracked, it's fine. We'll do that for a bit, then we'll pull ourselves back.
Yeah. Do you have an idea for what you want to do yet after school, or
Yeah.
you do?
I'm
Okay.
actually. I'm at school to get my HSC because I want to get my apprenticeship at the Botanic Gardens. And so the only way is you need your HSC and you need a license. So I'm getting my license this year, but I need the HSC, and that's the only reason I'm really at school, because I'd like to be doing TAFE, but not the courses I want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm head down, bum up in getting it done, getting out pretty much, and getting to do horticulture.
What would you love to see happen in our community, like in the Hawkesbury in the future, with anything like environment or community groups, schools?
Allotments are a great idea, as I was saying earlier, like getting households and families to work together and take care of an allotment and work as a big family, I suppose. And so I know there's a lot of vacant land in Richmond itself, which I'm not sure if they're going to build on it or they're not keeping it, but if they were able to do something like that and just have it go feral and have, I don't know, a couple council people turn the soil and keep it going and then let the families take over and plan it out and they work around the rotation or whatever, I think that would be great. I also love the idea of guerrilla gardening.
Yeah.
So in
Tell them
parks,
what it is.
so in parks essentially, instead of planting ornamental plants, so there's a good case in San Francisco, they planted a lot of ornamental pear trees.
Yeah.
And so a group of people went over and grafted on some edible pear tree branches, and so therefore it'd make pears that people could just walk by and go, oh, that looks good, I'll eat that.
Yeah.
But
Like a village food source.
yeah, but it's on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So I need some rosemary. Like Aldi down in Richmond, that was a good example. There used to be massive rosemary bushes there, and if you needed rosemary, you just go down and cut the rosemary and take it back home or something. And working with the town, but yeah, I reckon that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not sure I know Penrith is doing this, but I'm not sure about Richmond or any of the Hawkesbury area. Penrith does have this thing where all the green waste that you have in your bin gets composted and composted and broken down and stuff, and then
Green
you go
waste
to the green bins, and then once it's all broken down and composted, you can go to a local Bunnings or something like that, I suppose, and you pick up a bag for free of the stuff, and so it's free compost essentially, maybe even 50 cents or $1 even, just cheap or free. I'm not sure yet, but even that could work, even having a really small price or even free, where whatever goes back in comes back out.
You've obviously got a passion, and like you've had a very clear idea of what that passion is. Have you got any advice for someone else who sort of is the same age as you and might have an inkling of the passion they'd like to chase? Like, what's your advice to them about how to sort of get started and get involved? Or
mine would be stick to what you believe in and be yourself, and specifically with my age, stick to yourself and be who you are, and don't be afraid of asking. The worst thing they can say is slap you and say no or something like that. So honestly, if you go up to someone and say, hey, can I use your grass area? There's a veggie patch, and the worst thing they can say is no, go away. So essentially that's probably my life motto or something like that. Just don't be afraid of asking. And yeah, well, look where I've ended up now, really. So yeah.